Well, while working a very long overnight shift at work, I got bored and decided I'm going to watch some movies. And I was looking at stuff on YouTube and came along across this playlist of werewolf movies, as it suggested. Well, so I'm going to talk about three of them, and only one of them is an actual werewolf movie. So anyway, the first one was an old black and white movie called Cry of the Werewolf. I had never heard of it before. Probably easily overshadowed by, the Wolf Man and all the, the Universal pictures and whatnot. But this one, of the three I'm going to talk about, was probably the best of the three. It was a very simple plot of this woman who's, a princess from, I don't know, Romania or something like that. And, her mother's tomb was discovered or something like this. And this sets off a series of events as she's descended from a long line of werewolves, and she can change into the wolf at will. So here, they don't bother to put her in any makeup or anything like that. She literally turns into a wolf. So you just see the shadow, her shadow gets replaced by a wolf's shadow. And then there's this wolf, or probably a dog, I don't know, and they're walking around, and she's dispatching people here and there because she's got to kill everybody involved with disturbing the tomb because it's sacred and stuff. Well, whatever. In the meantime, there's this guy looking into it all, and so she, I guess, falls in love with him, but he already has a girlfriend. So she hypnotizes his girlfriend and telling her, you could be my sister. Or maybe something more. And the idea is that she was going to make her turn into a werewolf too, which I don't know, maybe. I mean, it seemed like it was a family thing, and there was this, since she was the princess, she had this little cult of people, protecting her and following her around and stuff. She actually had to kill one because he screwed up. But it's just it's fine for one of those old movies. It's not going to get to the level of the Wolfman and stuff like that. I mean, in the Wolfman, you actually see the guy turn into a wolf man. Whereas here is she turns into a wolf. And and that's pretty much it. But there's moments of where it's just, this burden, I can't stand it. And she does it anyway. So there you go. Sometimes you're just born into crap, and what are you gonna do? So the other two were these made-for-TV movies from the 70s. And actually, the next one in the list was one I'd already seen, so I skipped ahead. And I'll probably talk about that one later. I did my Poor Man's Mystery Science Theater treatment on it, which was soon to be released on my Gumroad store. But anyway, the next one was not to be outdone by a Cry of the Werewolf. This one was called Scream of the Wolf. So this one is intentionally a bit of a bait and switch, as there's a series of murders to be solved by Peter Graves, who was a hunter, and right off the bat, the suspect to be the werewolf was his old pal, who was another hunter, and they had been hired some time ago to track down this wolf that was, I don't know if they said it was killing people, but it was like, killing livestock or whatever. And the story was his buddy eventually kills the wolf, and the idea was that the wolf attacked him, so he was bitten. And so Peter Graves' girlfriend suspects that maybe he is a werewolf, don't be ridiculous, honey. And he's giving his friend the benefit of the doubt, but obviously he's the serial killer. And he keeps going on about how great everything is, that everyone's terrified and scared about all these murders because now they're alive. More alive now than they've ever been. And all this sort of crap. So it says, oh, so you're the killer. So he stages it to make people think it's a werewolf, and then it turns out he has a wolf chained in his basement or whatever that he trained to be a killer. So I don't know if it was supposed to be the wolf that he had hunted before or whatever. I can't even remember. I'm sure he explained it in the movie, but for some reason it slips my mind, So it was pretty bad. Except for the obvious homoerotic tension between Peter Graves and this guy. And his jealousy over Peter Graves' girlfriend. Yeah, that's going on. So anyway, it ends up being like the most dangerous game where the guy wants to hunt Peter Graves. And then Peter Graves gets the better of him and shoots him, which he says, you don't have the guts to shoot me, and he turns around and walks away. But Peter Graves did have the guts, and he shot him. And that's it. So, spoiler, there's no werewolf. But, at least it was sort of a, the whole point of the story was that it was this hoax of a werewolf killing. The killings are real. All the poor people who got killed just so this guy could, conjure up a hoax about a werewolf and get people scared. Yeah. What an asshole, So anyway, that was that for Scream of the Wolf, which, I don't know. I mean, I think you heard a few howlings and whatnot, but not so much a scream. So but a Cry of the Wolf was already taken. I don't know why they didn't just say the Howl of the Wolf, but, well, speaking of howling... The third and final film in the playlist of werewolf movies that I watched was a movie called Howling in the Woods. And it was based on a novel, which is, I'm just going to assume, was probably more interesting. I'll never know because I'm unlikely to read it. It was written by a woman named Velda Johnson. Or Johnston, something like that. Anyway... So the one interesting aspect of it is that it stars Barbara Eden and Larry Hagman. Yeah, they were reunited not long after I Dream of Jeannie was canceled. Yeah, so I don't know. Jeannie and Tony Nelson got married in the series. So in this story, it opens with Barbara Eden's character is returning home to her small town in I don't know where it was. Nevada or something like that, from after living in New York with her photographer husband, played by Larry Hagman. And apparently it seems to suggest that I guess he was a Playboy magazine photographer or something, because there's a scene where there's this woman taking off her clothes and getting in a bathtub, and he's there to take pictures of her. So obviously, probably played around or not. But anyway, you could kind of think that, this is how Jeannie and Tony Nelson ended up. And they divorced. Oh, well, yeah. So, and then Tony went on, changed his name to JR and got into oil and stuff. But anyway, so she returns home to visit her stepmother and wanting to also her father. They say, he's out of town or whatever, and surprise, he's dead. Yeah. And she discovers, she has a new stepbrother. How about that? This creepy guy who clearly wants to do her. But I mean, it's Barbara Eden. She's absolutely stunning. So, but then it turns out her stepbrother is getting it on with her stepmother. Well, don't worry. It turns out he really isn't her son. So he was just some drug addict that she picked up. And she claimed that it was his son. But then her husband found them. And they got in a fight, so Barbara Eden's father, I guess, falls, hits his head, and dies or whatever. And then, there was a little girl snooping in the basement at the time of this killing, and she saw this, so he had to kill the little girl. And so after all that, there was this man who was a traveling salesman or some such, and they framed him for the murder, and the townspeople lynched him, basically. Beat him to death and shot him and all this sort of stuff. But he had this dog in his car, and the dog escaped in the killing, and was just wandering around the woods howling, and so that's the source of the title. There's no werewolf or anything. And they would talk about the woods and that it's mysterious, but it really had nothing to do with anything. And so it doesn't belong in the list at all. There is a scene where Barbara Eden is snooping around the woods and whatnot. And then this claw-like hand comes up and shoves her, and then that's it. You never see it again. I was like, is this going to be like Scream of the Wolf, where it's another setup to make you think there's a werewolf in the woods? I don't know what that was, but you never hear about it again. Meanwhile, Larry Hagman, his role is rather simplified. He's trying to get her back, and so he shows up basically just to save her from getting killed at the end from the conspirators, and that's about it. The whole thing is just Barbara Eden. The town has a secret, and they all look constipated, and stuff. And then she's trying to figure out what happened to dear old Dad. And his bones are in a shallow grave out in the woods. So that was another reason why they didn't want her in the woods. Eventually, they just shoot the dog, which I guess they probably should have done beforehand, but. Yeah, whatever. So the howling stops. There's no more howling in the woods. And but anyway, she uncovers the nasty, horrible secret of the murder, and the idiot fake stepbrother gets killed, and then so does. I can't remember. Did the stepmother? She was shot. She shot herself. That's what it is. Yeah. Because the whole thing was really embarrassing. So that's that. So you get Barbara Eden and Larry Hagman together again, and then they do reunite at the end. And that happy? So it's a happy ending. They decide to give it another go and head back to New York because, oh man, things are crazy in this Nevada town. Well, look at New York now. So anyway, that's pretty much the story. I don't know if he's going to continue making a living photographing naked women, but well, I guess we'll never know if the marriage worked out. Yeah. So anyway, there you go. A howling in the woods from some old. It was like a hound dog. It was nothing but a hound dog. Yeah. No, not even a wolf. At least the other two had a wolf. But only one of them had a werewolf, and the other one was pretending to be a werewolf movie. And this one, I don't know. It's just Howling in the Woods, so someone put it in the playlist. So that's not on Howling in the Woods, so because it never really says there's a werewolf, except for that weird moment where there was that hand. I don't know. Anywho, you can skip that one too. I guess out of the three, Cry of the Wolf, or Cry of the Werewolf, is an actual werewolf movie. I mean, it's in the title, so. There's that one. There you go. Thanks for watching and listening. Say, while you're still here, why not like and subscribe and share with your many friends? Yes. Also, check out my mini stores in the link description below. Yes, where you can get t-shirts, hats, mugs, all those goodies. with my artwork on them. Oh, yeah. And head over to indieplanet.com and pick up a copy of my comic book, Night Night. Oh, yeah. You can also catch me at my podcast, Mr Nailsin Show, on RadioMisfits.com. And you can also watch my videos on BitChute.com and now on Rumble.com. Oh, my goodness. So many places to watch me and my stuff. Oh, yeah. And if that's not enough for you, well, you can follow me on many social media platforms and say hi to your old pal, Mr. Nailsin.